Hello, welcome back. So now in this part, we will understand the T-beam analysis. Now, T-beam analysis means finding the strength of T-beam or L-beam. So now, before finding the T-beam, the most important aspect here is determining the location of neutral axis. It is very important for us to determine this location because all the formulas, all the relations are based on the location of Na. So whether this Na lies in the flange or it lies in the web, based on that, our formula will be changed. So as the neutral axis of a flange beam may be either in flange or in the web, depending on the physical dimensions of the component, such as the effective width of flange BF and effective width of web BW, thickness of flange. So all these dimensions affect the location of Na. So now I will show you now a sample of T-beam along with the stress strain diagram. So here in this you can see this is the T-beam having effective width of flange as BF and thickness of flange as DF and width of web as BW, and in the second diagram we see the strain diagram. Now maximum strain in the concrete can be 0.0035. So when load is placing on the beam at the point, so this will experience the maximum strain, and the maximum strain that concrete can resist before failure is 0.0035. So that is why the strain here is showing the maximum value. Similarly, if we go across towards the neutral axis, so strain value is decreasing. So at neutral axis, neutral axis strain is 0, and this variation is linear. So that is why here at the topmost point, maximum strain is 0.035, and at some height, say h distance, uh, we have strain value 0.002. So strain value having value between 0.002 to 0.0035, we assume that the stress is constant. So between 0.002 to 0.0035, stress is constant. So if you see the third figure, so here you can see this is the stress diagram. So up to depth h, which means this one. So if we have strain from 0.0035 to 0.002, we have constant stress, and the stress value is 0.446 FCK. And I hope you remember that this is actually the design strength, design strength of concrete. That is what we have discussed in lecture 1. So up to a depth of h, it is constant, and this is actually the assumption in limit state. So we assume that in limit state method, the variation of the stress is, the stress is constant up to a certain depth, and after that it varies parabolically. So at this point, at the neutral axis, it is 0, and at the top it is having maximum stress equivalent to 0.446, and at this stress we have maximum strain, and this value of 0.446 is same between 0.002 to 0.0035. I will show you now the stress strain diagram, idealized stress strain diagram of concrete that I have discussed in lecture 1 also, so that you understand what I am talking about. So here you can see this is the actual diagram and this is the idealized diagram. So we consider our design strength as 0.447 FCK by applying the partial safety factor. So this is our characteristic strength curve. So by applying partial safety factor 2.67, we get the value of design strength as 0.447. And now you can see this 0.447 is same at the strain of 0.002, and it is constant at the strain of 0.0035 also. So that is the main, that is what we are following in our T-beam phenomena also. So now I will again move to the our main slide. Now here, this is showing the strain diagram for concrete. So because concrete is active above neutral axis only, in above neutral axis only, because above neutral axis it will be in compression. Okay, and because of the compression, maximum strain it can have is 0.0035, and up at 0.002 it is again constant, as I have shown you in the stress strain diagram of concrete. So this is showing the stress diagram of the T-beam. So here, up to this neutral axis, the variation of the stress is because of the compressive force. Now below neutral axis, this region is blank because in this there is concrete, and concrete is not taking tension, because we know below neutral axis the tension will be bear by reinforcement steel. So at this level we have tension force which is 0.87 Fy. 0.87 Fy is the design strength of steel. Now corresponding to this, as this is the maximum stress steel can take, the corresponding to this stress we have maximum strain of the steel also. Now this value is equivalent to 0.87 Fy by Es plus 0.002. Now how this value, how we have arrived at this strain? So for this I will again show you the stress strain diagram for the steel that we have discussed in lecture 1. So here we will see the stress strain diagram for HYSD bar. So you can see this is the actual stress strain curve, and generally we consider the yield strength of the steel at 0.2% strain. Now 0.2% strain means 0.002, which means 0.002 strain is already there in the steel. Now, in addition to that, the extra strain, now this is the idealized curve. So as we know that up to this is the proof strain, which is 0.002. Now, in addition to that, we have strain up to 0.0035. So what is this value? So this strain can be calculated by using the simple formula, as we know that stress upon strain is equals to E, or Young's modulus of elasticity. Now, if we want to find out strain, then strain will become stress upon Es. And what is the stress? Stress is the design strength of the steel, that is 0.87 times of Fy. So this, by replacing this stress by 0.87 Fy upon Es, and by adding this with the already present value of 0.002, so this is how we get the maximum strain value in the steel. So for HYSD bar, we calculate yield strength at 0.2% proof stress. So that is why this is how we get the value of strain in the steel. So now I will again move to our slide. Yes. So this is how we get the maximum strain in the steel. So this stress and strain diagram is very important to understand, because our analysis and finding the moment of resistance and or strength of T-beam is based on this stress and strain diagram. So this stress and strain diagram varies with the dimension changes and with the load variation and with the amount of steel. So with all these factors varies the stress and strain curve of this uh, curve. And the most important, location of Na. If location of Na is in, I mean, if Na is present in the flange, then in that case the diagram will be different. So now if we consider that flange beam, the flange beam may be considered as a rectangular beam of width Bf and effective depth D if the neutral axis is in the flange as the concrete is in tension is ignored. So by chance, as in our sample diagram, Na is present in the web. By chance, if this Na is present here, for example, if it is present here, then above Na, this part will be in compression, and below Na, only this bar is active. So in that case, what we can do is we can consider this T beam as a rectangular beam, which is having width Bf and steel this one. So with that, we can apply all the formulas that we generally use for normal rectangular beam simply by replacing the value of B by Bf. So the formula that we have used in the previous lectures also, like of Mu formula. So in that we can use the same formula in this scenario when neutral axis is present in the flange. Now, however, if the neutral axis is in the web, as in our case, as you can see, this Na is available in the web, then what happens? The compression is taken by the flange and a part of web. So as we know that above neutral axis, this part will be under compression. So we can say that if Na is available in the web, then part of the, full flange will be in under compression and some part of web also will be under compression. So this is how we interpret the location of Na in case of flange beam. Now, as I said that the compressive stress in concrete remains constant between strains 0.002 and 0.0035. So that is what I have explained in the previous slide by showing you the idealized stress strain curve of concrete. Now, when we assume that stress is constant between 0.0035 to 0.002, then it becomes very important to find out this depth along which stress is constant, and this depth is known as h. We express this depth as h. So it becomes very important to find out the value of h. So there is a separate derivation to calculate this value of h. Now here I will show you the direct value of h. So this value of H is dependent on the grade of steel. So if we have Fe250, then it is 0.197. If we have Fe415, then it is 0.205D. And if we have 500, it is 0.227. So you can see this D is approximately equals to 0.2. So generally we adopt the value of H as 0.2 D. We adopt H as 0.2 times of D. Now what is D? D is the effective depth, this one. This is the D value. That is also shown here also. So generally we consider that this value of H is 0.2 D. Now, as we know that H is equals to 0.2 D. Now this depends. Now while calculating the strength of T-beam, it is very important to see the proportion of thickness of flange to the overall depth or effective depth of the T-beam. So when H is exactly equals to 0.2 times of D, in that case we call that H is equals to DF, which means whole flange will be under constant stress. So this is the result that I am telling you, that is how we interpret. So if H is equals to 0.2 times of D, it means H will be equals to DF, and DF is the thickness of flange. Similarly, if, yes, here I have explained. So when DF by D is 0.2, so here we can say that when DF by D is equals to 0.2, in that scenario, we say that DF will be equals to H. Now there can be other scenario also. If DF by D is less than 0.2, or if DF is less than 0.2 times of D. Now we know that 0.2 times of D is equivalent to H. So when DF is less than H, so what happens in that scenario? In that scenario, the position of the fiber of 0.002, now whole ratio, this df by d ratio will govern the equations. When df by d ratio is equals to 0.2, then we say that df is equals to h. When df by d ratio is less than 0.2, in that, how do we interpret? We will interpret that this 0.002 value will be uh, in the web. So this value will somewhere here. So in that scenario, the whole flange will be under constant stress. As it is showing, the position of the fiber of 0.002 strain will be in the web, and the entire flange will be under a constant compressive stress. So this is when df by d ratio is less than 0.2. Similarly, when df by d ratio is more than 0.2, what does it means? It means that flange is very thin as compared to D, and the position of 0.002 fiber will be in the flange. So in that scenario, 0.002 जो fiber है, this fiber will be under flange. So this will shift here, and it will shift only when the thickness of this flange is less comparative to this D value. So this is how we interpret this ratio df by d. Now, when df by d ratio is more than 0.2, in this case, a part of slab will have constant stress of 0.446, where strain will be more than 0.002. So as you can see in this scenario, when this strain is, 0.002 strain is at certain depth in the flange. So we say that up to this depth, stress is constant, and in between this depth, stress is not constant. It is something in this curvature, which means it is varying. It is not constant. So this is how we interpret this ratio when df by d is more than 0.2 or less than 0.2 or equals to 0.2. So if it is equals to 0.2, in that case, df will be equals to h. If it is less than 0.2, in that case also, we say that 0.002 strain will be in the web, and whole flange will be under constant stress. Now, if it is greater than 0.2, in that scenario, the 0.002 strain will be within the depth of flange. So in that case, part of the flange will be under constant stress, and some part will be under varying stress, in which value will not be constant. So the comparison df by d ratio, this df by d ratio, this comparison is valid only when we have balanced and over reinforced flange beam. So we follow this df by d ratio only when we have balanced and over reinforced flange beam. So in this, the ratio of df by d ratio is important to determine if the rectangular stress block is of the full depth of flange or for a part of the flange. So we follow this df by d ratio only in case when our section is balanced or over reinforced. Now, what if we have under reinforced section? In case of under reinforced section, as we know that under reinforced section is the section when xu is less than xu max. Now, because in case of balanced section and over reinforced section, xu max is there and it is constant. But in case of over reinforced section, xu is varying. So that is why in place of df by d ratio, we use df by xu ratio in case of under reinforced section. So that is what I have written here. Similarly, for the under reinforced flanged beam, we check df by xu ratio in place of df by d ratio. So when df by d ratio, df by xu ratio is less than 0.43, the constant stress block of depth is for the full depth of flange. So when df by xu is less than or equals to 0.43, in that scenario, this 0.002 strain will be in the web, which means the whole flange will be under constant stress. Similarly, if it is greater than 0.43, then it will be same as df by d ratio greater than 0.2. We will follow the same. In that scenario also, 0.002 value will be within the flange. So in that case, part of the flange will be under constant stress and some part will be under varying stress. So based on this discussion, we have basically 4 cases. Now, first case, when neutral axis is in the flange. Second case, when we have balanced section, and in this, if we have df by d ratio which does not exceed 0.2. Second scenario, when we have df by d ratio greater than 0.2. Third case is when we have under reinforced section, and in this we compare uh, df by xu ratio. So in this we have a part, and b part is when df by xu ratio is greater than 0.43. So these are the 3 cases, and the fourth case is when our section is over reinforced and we compare df by d ratio with 0.2, whether it is greater than or less than 0.2. So similarly, based on this, basically we have total 7 cases. 1, then second A, then second B, then third A, third B, similarly fourth A and fourth B. So total 7 cases will be there. And before analyzing our T-beam, we have to identify which case our beam falls in. So we will discuss each case separately in the next part. Thank you.